Songs of Silence is an early access strategy RPG. The game reminds me of Ogre Battle, Unicorn Overlord, and also a little bit of Heroes of Might and Magic. It's... I'm a little torn on this one, to be perfectly honest. I have a few kind of minor problems with it, but it is a good game, and I think it'll get a lot better just as they add more to it. Well, it reminds me of some of my favorite games. There's something kind of off about it. The story has been good so far, the gameplay is fun at times, the graphics I think are beautiful, and yeah, I'm still trying to get used to a bunch of little things, like the combat and just the overall controls on the map screen. I think I'll figure those out, or at least get used to them. Because as it stands now, I'm not really liking the combat that much, mostly because I just haven't played it enough. I'm just a few hours into the game, so yeah, I don't really have any consensus over whether the combat's good or bad or anything like that. So far, the story kind of feels like one of those games from the mid-90s or something like that, where you would buy a game and in the box would be this 200-page manual that explains everything that's ever happened in this game's world. You don't get that here. It feels like you're just dropped off and all of a sudden, hey, you've been in this world for 50 years and you're just recovering from a coma and you don't know what's happening. That's the way I feel when I started playing this, because I had no idea what many of these references are. I didn't exactly know what was happening, aside from the fact that you play as a queen who gets chased out of her kingdom. Her parents are both dead, so now she is leading her people on this exodus across this strange world. The first place you go to, the guy who rules it is kind of a crazy person, and you've got to deal with that, and then you get chased from there. You go through this place called the Silence, and yeah, it's just really crazy. Like, there's a lot going on here, and I really didn't know exactly what was happening. I felt like a fish out of water in this whole story, and I think it's because I probably missed something when I was going into it. There was something I should have read, or maybe I didn't pay too close attention to what was going on in the opening scene. It could have been anything, but yeah, I'm interested to see where the story goes, and maybe more things will be explained. But where I'm at now, I was kind of just lost at what was happening and why. I knew there were bad people and we had to fight them, and I guess that's all I really needed to know, but it would have been nice to just get a better explanation of what was happening in this world. So the gameplay in this reminds me of like a combination of Ogre Battle and also Heroes of Might and Magic. In Heroes of Might and Magic, you have an overworld screen where you're moving and conquering castles and picking up resources, that sort of thing. And then it goes to more of a tactical combat screen. Once it transitions to the combat screen, that's when it feels a little bit more like Ogre Battle, where you don't really control the combat, but you can intervene at times. And that's where the similarities to games that I know of kind of end. And it turns into its own thing, which I like it because it adds a lot of strategy to the game, but at the same time, I kind of wish I could have more control over my units. So before the battle begins, you're able to position your units in order to best defeat the enemy. So you can move your spearmen to a place where they're going to run into the enemy cavalry, you can move your archers to the back, that sort of thing. That feels a little bit like Ogre Battle, where characters and units will act differently depending on how you've set them up before battle. It also kind of feels a little bit like Ogre Battle, where you have these cards that you can use to intervene. Those cards are basically your spells that you're going to be using. Those, I really don't have like a good handle on how to use those just yet. They thankfully do explain what's going on with each card, but Yeah, I just have not wrapped my mind around it just yet at this point in the game. And that's where I'm kind of torn on whether or not I really like the combat or not yet. Where I'm at in the game, I only have 2 units that I'm controlling, which makes me feel just really underpowered when I'm going into these different battles, because it's like, well, I need to protect all these other places, but I only have 2 units to do that. And they don't like regain their life fast enough in order for me to really impact what's going on. And it feels like I'm just constantly losing units and having to recruit new ones, which is a little annoying to do, but it isn't too hard. So one similarity to Heroes of Might and Magic, you go to these different cities and you can build them up, and then once you've added more buildings to them, then you can recruit different units. So that's kind of fun. One thing I don't like is you can't really get new heroes yet, or at least I haven't gotten to a point where I can get new heroes. So yeah, that's a little frustrating. Again, I only have 2 units. I'm still very early in the game. So once I move on, I'm assuming there will be more characters I can get, and that'll kind of help me out a lot. But right now, it's a little... I just feel like I'm a little underpowered to do everything, especially when I run into some of the enemy units, just because I'm still trying to get a handle on the combat. So right now, I can say I kind of like the gameplay, but it's something that I need to try a little bit harder to really wrap my mind around. I think it'll get good, but I'm not really sure at this point. Right now, I'm just kind of hopeful that the game is going to be getting better and they're going to add more things to it and stuff will change. It is still in early access, so hey, it could get a lot better going forward. So yeah, that's kind of where I am right now. I like what I've done for the most part in the game, but I think like some things could be better. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.